Solomon was a biblical magician king who is accredited with inspiring large parts of the corpus of works we now know as the Kabbalah. The Knights Templar arrived in Palestine with one main goal: to stop the Muslims from gaining any knowledge about the Kabbalah. Historical Islamic oral accounts from the 12th century testify to a sickening crusade of plunder, torture, murder, and sexual depravity. The Knights Templar, once they had discovered the magical teachings of the Kabbalah, were dedicated utterly to destroying its origins so that they might hold its secrets exclusively. Archaeologists have found ample evidence of tunnels constructed by the Templars in Jerusalem. They are widely believed to have found and brought back to Europe the fabled Holy Grail. The so-called Holy Grail is actually a set of higher magical teachings. It is not an object, but a piece of information. Utterly Kabbalistic in its origin, the Holy Grail is the highest Kabbalistic secret. That is, that physical matter can be transformed molecule by molecule by the use of incantations of ancient Hebrew letters and numbers, and that the nature of reality is really an illusion.
When I said publicly in 1991 that the Earth was a living entity that we could communicate with and could communicate with us, people just dubbed me crazy. And now we're seeing scientists who have studied this coming to the same conclusion.
Yes.
The bottom line is this: everything is conscious. What we call creation is like an ocean of infinite energy, which is manifesting itself in different forms. It's like we may perceive ourselves as droplets, if you like, individuals. But if you put a droplet in the ocean, where does the droplet end and the ocean start? The ocean is the droplet is the ocean, and it's the same with us. You may look as you do, I may look as I do, that wall may look as it does, but they're all expressions of the same energy field, manifesting in different ways. So, of course, the planet itself is a living, thinking, emotional entity, and we are interacting with that energy field. And one of the things the Illuminati have set out to do and are trying ever more to do in the period we're experiencing now is to bring the vibrational state of the Earth's field, the Earth's consciousness, to as low a point as they can. Because we, as human beings, are living in that energy field. And it's very simple. If you affect the sea, you affect that which lives in the sea. And so the more that they can lower the vibrational state of the planet, the more it becomes, if you like, treacle-like density. Mm-hmm. The more we living in that energy field are pulled into that state. And when you have the wars and the environmental destruction and all these things that cause tremendous negative emotional energy, then you are lowering the vibrational state of the planet, you're lowering the vibrational state of the people, and you're basically holding them in a vibrational prison, which makes it much more difficult, not impossible, but much more difficult for them to hold connection out into the infinite beyond, where they can be in this world but not of it in terms of their perspective of reality. If you disconnect people and hold them in this density, hold them in this illusory reality, they are in this world and they are also of it. And therefore, the only information that they have to get a fix on how they see life themselves and reality in general is through the eyes and the ears. And who controls that? The Illuminati control that through what we laughingly call the education system, the mainstream media across the planet. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to disconnect us from multidimensional infinity so that we don't see the world from that perspective, and therefore see through the illusion and see through the nonsense and see through the lies. And then once they've disconnected people, they then program this lower level of our consciousness with a reality that suits them. And this is why people who have had a different perspective on life, a different perspective on reality, who have held that connection to some extent out into the infinite, and have expressed that view, expressed that vision of reality and possibility here, they're the ones that are dubbed crazy, lunatics, and dangerous. Why? Not because they are, but because from the point of consciousness that they are perceiving this world, to people who are here, the vast majority, that is just crazy. I mean, if you said to people, is that table solid? They say, of course it is, of course it is. Well, it isn't, it can't be, it's made of atoms, right? And atoms are not solid. Tell me how it does that. Our minds do that by turning vibrational fields into apparently physical objects. The denser the vibration, the slower the vibration, the more dense that we decode that into what appears to be a physical object. And so someone who's out there and can perceive that sees the world in a completely different way, and because it's different to the norm and the mass norm, which is programmed into people from cradle to grave, they're just isolated and called crazy, when in fact they're the people we need to listen to.
Yeah, I remember Stanley Messenger. He said to me once that there are no objects, there are no things. Everything that, like for example, the wooden table, everything is an event, because once that was a tree, and in years to come that will be thrown away into a skip and it'll end up decomposing somewhere. We don't perceive that as an event because it's happening on a slow scale. But there are no things, there are only events. Adam Weishaupt's doctrine of a new world order was laid out in 3 books which he wrote in the later years of his life. He lived in the town of Gotha, and his writing career was funded by the Saxe-Coburg dynasty, who came to the British throne through Edward VII. Edward VII was installed as Grand Master of British Freemasonry in 1875. He regularly appeared in public wearing the ceremonial uniform of a Masonic Grand Master. Like his Saxe-Coburg grandparents, King Edward VII was one of the biggest financial contributors to the Illuminati version of Freemasonry. He was crowned in 1901.